Gervonta Davis has responded to Floyd Mayweather's claims about him allegedly rigging fights. While he didn't directly insult Floyd, he made it clear how he feels by saying, "I don't want to say he's a scumbag." Their relationship seems to be getting worse, and the tension between them keeps growing.
It's gonna be that. It don't make no sense. You don't never want to see nobody be better than him. I'm telling you. You don't know.
Is there like
The last question I was ever
is there like a love-hate
Yeah, I love the fighter. Like, I ain't gonna lie, if he was like chill, like he'll be the smoothest, but he's not. You know what I mean? He's a great fighter. And my bad. Cause I don't want to say like he's just a scumbag, but it's like he's a great fighter, and sometimes he can be good, but it's like it's always I'm this, I'm that.
Many boxing professionals believe the sport is heavily rigged today, with politics influencing decisions more than skill. Fighters and fans have raised concerns about unfair judging, biased promotions, and predetermined outcomes. The integrity of boxing is questioned more than ever, making it harder for true talent to shine.
You felt like boxing's pretty rigged overall.
It's rigged, dude. I mean, so many politics, even with, MMA, man, there's so many politics. There's no more art anymore. It's just, let's get an influencer in there. I get it. It's like generating money because our attention span is so short. You look at clips now, it's like 7 seconds. I saw a dude slamming a lady the other day, and they were like, "Oh my God, that dude is," I'm like, well, dude, I'm just gonna pick somebody and slam him. Where's the whole video? And our attention span is just so small. So money talks, of course. Yeah, let's get an influencer in there who has no style, but it draws attention. It's just dumb to me.
Tank Davis has recently opened up about his past experiences with former mentor Floyd Mayweather, shedding light on the complexities of their relationship. According to Davis, Mayweather employed specific strategies when managing fighters, often orchestrating situations to his advantage. Davis remarked, "He did what he did. I'm just focused. He always been like that, and I'm going to do what I'm going to do."
Floyd outdoing him. He always been like that. You know what I mean? So I gotta focus on what I'm focused on. He already did what he had to do, bro. I ain't gonna lie. Me, if I did what I like what he did in the sport, I ain't gonna lie, I'd be the same way. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I don't fault him for like stand to himself and things like that. You know what I mean? But it's also a part of me type thing, like come back and help too. You know what I mean? So there's much love to the whole Mayweather promotion. You know what I mean? Ain't no bad blood type shit. And a lot of people think like when I be tweeting on Instagram, I be mad. I just be talking.
In the world of boxing, the term prize fighter refers to athletes who prioritize monetary rewards over legacy or the quality of their fight records. Gervonta Davis has been perceived by some as embodying this mentality, focusing on lucrative paydays rather than building a robust resume through challenging opponents. Critics argue that this approach leads to cherry-picking fighters to ensure victories and substantial earnings, potentially compromising the sport's competitive integrity.
I've been told y'all Gervonta Tank Davis isn't a prize fighter. I know a lot of you guys say, well, he doesn't fight for belts, he doesn't fight for legacy, he fights for money. He's a prize fighter, Jerry. And I'm going to assume a prize fighter is a guy who is solely making fights based off of cash reward. He'd rather fight a bum for $50 million than fight a guy who's experienced for $10 million. That is what a prize fighter would be. Actual definition, a professional boxer who competes in matches for money prizes. So let's take a look at it. Turki Al-Sheikh has declared he wants to make Tank versus Shakur. He says, "My plan for Shakur is this fight," he's referring to Floyd Schofield, then William Zepeda, and then let's see if Tank wants to be in our show. Tank's not going to fight Shakur. He's not going to fight him in Saudi Arabia. So now that we've established Tank isn't a prize fighter, because if he was, his career resume would look a whole lot different, then we must ask, what is Tank's goal in boxing? I'll tell you right now, it's easy money. Tank is the type of guy, he'd rather fight, let's say, 4 Lamont Roaches for $20 million than fight 1 Shakur Stevenson for $80 million, which is fine. But I'm tired of people saying, oh, he's a prize fighter. That's why he's not taking these fights. He's not a prize fighter. The biggest money fights is Haney, Ryan, Tio, Shakur, and Loma. He's not even going to take half of those fights. So please, guys, all my Tank fans, all my guys who claim Tank is a prize fighter, that's why he's not fighting for the belts, please stop it. This guy's not a legacy fighter. He's not a prize fighter. He's just a guy who enjoys easy paydays. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with that. Just stop misleading people with your comments.
Sports analysts Stephen A. Smith and Shannon Sharp analyzed the recent bout between Gervonta Davis and Lamont Roach, expressing strong beliefs that Roach had done enough to secure a victory. They acknowledged Davis's ability to land powerful and clean shots but noted that Roach responded with equally, if not more, forceful punches. This assessment highlights the competitive nature of the fight and raises questions about the judges' scoring and the criteria used to determine the outcome. The analysts' perspectives contribute to the ongoing debate regarding the fairness and transparency of boxing decisions.
Gervonta Tank Davis escaped Barclays Center on Saturday night with a majority draw against Lamont Roach.
Watching the fight, watching the punch, I think he's surprising. I think he's surprising with the punch, and he hit him in the wrong spot, the wrong place, and they caught him by surprise, and they called him to go down.
Regardless, when you take a knee, if you go back and look at when Floyd Mayweather fought Cruz, I think, what was it, 2001? And he hit him on the button and he hurt his hand and he took a knee and they started the 10 count. Yeah, you can't take a knee.
You know, boxing is about, moving around, and there's a point where Tank and Roach decided, you know what, we tied right now. We finna sit here in the pocket and we finna bang. Boy, them boy were throwing, boy.
Roach came up. Roach normally fights at 130. He came up to 135.
Hey, listen, they got a rematch. They got a rematch. That fight was good. And obviously, I've seen a lot of boxers come out and say, Tank lost. When I looked at the scorecard, I think maybe going into round 7, maybe 7 or 8, maybe 7, I think Tank was up on the scorecard. The styles make fights, and Lamont Roach's style made that fight what it is. And he made no mistakes, too, all night.
Tank hit him with a couple of good shots, but Roach didn't move. Tank would catch him. He would counter it right back. Hey. That jab, he kept him up off him. He didn't back down. And normally Tank starts slow, comes on. Roach said, I'm here to stay.
I'm not sure what kind of conditioning Lamont Roach did, but whatever it is, I salute him. Everybody gets tired after round 7 and on, but his condition was up to par. They went to war all 12 rounds.
I thought Roach won the fight. I thought even without the knockdown, I thought he won it. Roach was the more aggressive fighter.
I would like to see them rematch at some point.
What do the numbers say? The pay-per-view number is going to tell you if people want to see a rematch. Because if they came out and bought the fight, yeah, they'll get a rematch. If they didn't do the numbers, don't you know?
Renowned trainer Robert Garcia weighed in on the controversial 9th round of the Davis vs. Roach fight, asserting that referees should intervene if a fighter takes a knee without a legitimate reason, such as a low blow. Garcia emphasized that boxing rules do not permit fighters to call for timeouts during a round. He expressed surprise over referee Steve Willis's decision not to rule Davis's knee as a knockdown, noting that Willis is generally regarded as a competent official and should not have made this oversight. Garcia's insights bring attention to the importance of adhering to established rules to maintain the sport's integrity.
And should it have been a disqualification?
Look, it could have easily been a disqualification too, or a referee stops contest, because look, there's no way a fighter could take a timeout and go get his, during the round. There's no way a fighter could say, okay, timeout, because he took a knee like a timeout kind of thing, and walk to his corner to wipe his face. That's fucking unheard of and never seen before. There's no way that's legal in boxing. It shouldn't have. When a fighter, we just seen it recently with Espinosa and Rubesis. Rubesis got hit with the right hand, and then he walks back and walks away, and the ref right away wiped it up.
That happened with Lara versus Angulo.
Exactly. It's over. It's over. So Tank doing that, took a knee. It should have right away. The ref should have started, counting as a knockdown. But he still walks away to his corner. I'm actually, surprised that the ref didn't call it a knockdown, because he's a really good ref.
Willis
is a great ref, one of the best in boxing right now, and that was a big mistake. He should have counted as a knockdown. Like I told you, I wouldn't have been surprised if when he walked away, if he would have just waved it up, because that's walking away from the fight. Because of the odds, during the break, tell the corner to wipe it out. You can't do that when the fight's going on. There's no way, nothing. You can't do that when the fight's going on. You can't time out, take a knee, and walk away. There's just no way. But it is boxing, and a lot of things happen in boxing.
Coach Bernie offered his perspective on the fight, stating that Gervonta Davis did not defend his title in a manner expected of a champion. He observed that Lamont Roach fought with greater urgency and heart, while Davis appeared content with merely completing the rounds. This critique suggests that Davis may not have exhibited the dominance typically associated with title holders, potentially affecting his reputation and standing within the boxing community.
Exactly. He's the champion. He got to defend his title. He got to defend his title. Like I said, they both was looking at each other. And then finally, after Tank will be the one to throw the first punch. He felt like he wanted to retain his title. Lamont Roach felt like he was just happy to be there and get the success. He wasn't trying to take the title. He wasn't trying to take the title. And I'm saying that even from the last round, just even the last round, the final 20, 30 seconds of the last round, he wasn't throwing no punches. He looked at him and got caught with a jab. You can't close the show with a guy like that, with a guy like Tank Davis like that. Now, if he'd have had a knockdown or something, like a real knockdown or something, maybe he feeling, but you can't stop until the bell ends. You can't, even if you're being active and slipping and sliding and something, he just standing there looking at him. I don't know. I didn't understand that. I don't understand why fighters sit there and look at each other for a long time. Change the angle. Keep a rhythm in your way. Snap a jab. Do a feint. Ain't no need of you standing there looking at no man for 20 seconds in a fight. That don't make sense. But so I think, like I say, Lamont Roach, he will be kicking himself in the ass that he didn't do more, but grateful that he did enough.
The conclusion of the Davis vs. Roach fight elicited shock and disappointment among many professional boxers and analysts. Some labeled it one of the most controversial decisions in recent boxing history, arguing that the referees and judges failed to apply the rules correctly. This sentiment reflects concerns about the consistency and fairness of officiating in the sport, with critics asserting that such decisions tarnish boxing's credibility. The widespread reactions underscore the need for reforms to ensure transparency and uphold the integrity of boxing matches.
Gervonta Tank Davis says he took a knee because he got his hair done a few days ago and something dripped into his eyes. Ryan Garcia said that Lamont Roach won that fight. And he continues with, not calling that knockdown is the most wild thing I've ever seen in boxing. That type of stuff makes boxing look bad. And it says, crazy shit, see y'all May 2nd. Terrence Crawford said they robbed that boy and it's crazy. Roach won and that should have been called the knockdown, let's see what happens. Devin Haney says, I was waiting for the backflip. Even Turkey Al-Ashi has something to say about the fight. He said, if you charge people $80 per pay-per-view, you must give them a good card with good production. What are your thoughts? Then Terrence Crawford continues with, some of y'all need to watch Mayweather versus Hernandez and see Mayweather takes a knee because he hurt his hand and it was called a knockdown, not from a punch either. He says, I've never seen someone take a knee and they don't count it as a knockdown. Must have forgot the rules for tonight. And Shakur Stevenson is willing to fight Lamont Roach. But in your honest thoughts, who do you think should have won this fight? Do you believe with the decision as a draw? Or do you think Lamont Roach should have won that fight?
George Kambosos Jr. shared his thoughts on the fight, specifically addressing the referee's handling of the knee incident. He stated that in professional boxing, a fighter cannot simply take a knee without it being considered a knockdown. Kambosos' perspective aligns with traditional interpretations of boxing rules, suggesting that the referee's failure to acknowledge the knee as a knockdown was a significant oversight. His comments add to the chorus of voices calling for stricter adherence to established regulations to maintain fairness in the sport.
Make it that fight on the weekend, what'd you make of the controversy in that one?
Look, I had just finished my recovery session, so I was pretty docile and relaxed, and then the fight, especially at the start of it, wasn't too thrilling and too action-packed, so I was starting to doze off a little bit, but I woke up a little bit more when obviously Lamont started giving him some work, and he looked good, man. I got to give respect to Lamont Roach. He proved a lot of guys wrong. I think he shocked Tank a lot with what he was able to bring, and again, we saw the controversy with the knee. To me, that's a knockdown. You can't just take a knee and decide to, go to your corner and get your face wiped. So, if that's a 10-8 round, Lamont wins the fight. So it's unfortunate, but that's the fight game. Hopefully they do it again and he gets paid what he's worth.
Have you ever seen anything like that in boxing before? A guy sort of just voluntarily.
We've seen Floyd take a knee and be put on the count. We've seen Miguel Cotto, take a knee, obviously into his corner, be put on the count. If we're allowed to start taking knees and run to our corners, well, I'm gonna start doing it too. If I, as soon as I feel something, everyone will start to do it. But it's just not right. You're a warrior. Doesn't matter if there's grease in your eye, a bit of gel in your eye, or whatever excuse you want to use. I've been through wars where there's blood pouring in my eyes. In the Lomachenko fight, blood was pouring. I'm wiping it away. We've seen it with other fighters. So we don't get opportunities just to take a knee, go to our corner, wipe us up, and might as well have a coffee and have a laugh and then get back to action. It doesn't work that way.
The core of the controversy centers on the 9th round when Gervonta Davis took a knee. Many argue that this action should have been ruled a knockdown, significantly impacting the judges' scorecards. The failure to acknowledge the knee as a knockdown has led to widespread debate about the fight's legitimacy. This incident has sparked discussions about the need for clearer guidelines and more consistent officiating to prevent similar controversies in future matches.
Gervonta Tank Davis, GTD, and I don't mean got the draws, went up against Lamont Roach. Let me tell you something. Tank got spanked. Roach should have won. And Tank even dropped to his knee. It should have been called a knockdown. But they let it slide. They said, you know what? He said he had grease in his eye from his braids. But it still should have been counted as a knockdown. Because since it was a unanimous draw, that knockdown would have gave Roach the win.
Reports indicate that Gervonta Davis made notable changes to his training regimen for this fight, including training in Washington, D.C., without his longtime coach Calvin Ford. This shift allowed Lamont Roach's team to gain insights into Davis's preparation, potentially influencing their strategy and the fight's dynamics. The alteration in Davis's training approach raises questions about the impact of coaching and preparation on a fighter's performance, as well as the possible advantages gained by opponents aware of such changes.
Change that Gervonta Davis made from previous times that he had been fighting. He made a change in trainers, but he also made a change in the location in which he was training. He went and had Barry Hunter from DC, from a gym called Headbangers in DC as his head trainer, while Calvin Ford and Kenny Smith took a backup role. Gervonta Davis also worked out in Washington, D.C. Now, as you know, Gervonta Davis and Lamont Roach fought each other in amateurs. Their teams know each other. The people know each other. They all know each other in the same circle. What was told to me was that Lamont Roach's team knew pretty much what Gervonta Davis was going to do and what his approach was going to be to the fight, because they knew what Gervonta Davis was working on in camp. That because he was in that same area and it was the DC area and Lamont Roach was a DC fighter and Gervonta Davis considered DC his second home, but it's not his second home. There's a big rivalry between DC and Baltimore.
Promoter Eddie Hearn offered a contrasting viewpoint on the 9th round incident, asserting that for an action to be considered a knockdown, the fighter must be struck by a punch and subsequently touch the canvas. He noted that Davis was not visibly hurt by Roach's punch and did not appear to be in distress, suggesting that the referee's decision was justified. Hearn's perspective introduces an alternative interpretation of the rules, highlighting the subjective nature of officiating in boxing and the challenges in achieving unanimous agreement on such incidents.
Fight. One thing that's kind of baffling is that it wasn't a knockdown. I mean, look, he wasn't hurt. There's no doubt about that. But if you take a knee in the fight and you touch down, whilst punches are being thrown, it has to be a knockdown. I've heard some people saying, that he should be disqualified. He went back to the corner. I don't buy that, to be honest with you. I mean, I think that's a warning, but it's a bit of a bizarre situation for me. Like, there was a lot of people in boxing that were saying that this is a really tough fight. Like, Lamont Roach is a serious fighter. I said it might not be the biggest profile fight, but it's actually quite a tough fight. And Shakur said to me, like, even the day before, I'm telling you, he's going to have big trouble tomorrow night. And I just feel like hopefully this could be the little something that gives Gervonta a little wake-up call to take him back to the mindset of maybe where he was.
In the aftermath of the fight, there were discussions about possibly overturning the result due to the contentious call. However, subsequent reports indicate that the initial article suggesting this was later retracted.
I'm sorry, but if you're a Gervonta Davis fan, you might want to watch out. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, check this out. Yesterday, Lamont Roach Jr. tweeted out, word on the block, y'all favorite fighter finna be 30-1, not 30-1, two-time two-division champ. And I believe it was Ring Magazine tweeted out that basically the New York Athletic Commission was looking at the fight because the technology was messed up or the technology wasn't available during the fight to actually determine if it was a knee. And before the video goes any further, make sure you hit the follow button. But this is actually insane. Because technically, if that's counted a knee, he won that fight. In my mind, Lamont still won that fight. I wasn't too mad with the draw, but if you had that knockdown in, which I definitely think it should be counted as a knockdown, then that's a loss on Gervonta Davis's record. And honestly, he didn't earn the win. I thought the draw was okay, but I don't think he earned the win. And the real question that comes up is, do you think the Athletic Commission will actually overturn the fight and give Lamont Roach the win? I'm not too sure about that. I don't know how confident I am in them to actually overturn it, but who knows? Let me know what y'all think in the comments, though, because if this gets overturned, this might be one of the biggest stories in boxing this year. And if you haven't already made it to the end of the video, go ahead, hit the follow button. What are we doing?
That's it for today's video. Stay tuned.